Welcome to this candidates forum for those individuals seeking the Republican nomination for Senate District 15. I'm Mike Swenson, 2022 Vice Chair of Governmental Affairs for the Shelby County Chamber. On behalf of the Chamber, we're pleased to co-host this program with the Shelby County newspapers. We hope you find this program both interesting and informative, and we're pleased that you could be with us. Before we begin, we want to commend both Brian Christine and Dan Roberts for putting themselves before the voters of Senate District 15. It is a true testament of their public servant leadership to their community, to their district, and to their state. Now let me explain our format for this virtual forum, which both candidates were invited. Each participating candidate will be given 2 minutes to respond to each question presented. Neither candidate has been given the questions prior to this event. In the interest of time, there will be no opening statements. There will, however, be an opportunity for closing statements, no more than 3 minutes. A representative with the Shelby County Chamber's staff will act as a timekeeper and provide each of the candidates with a countdown during their comments. Kirk Manser, President and CEO with the Shelby County Chamber, will be posing the questions to the candidates. Now let's begin with our first question.
Thank you, Mike. We'll start with our first question alphabetically with Dr. Christine. Dr. Christine, why do you want to be the Republican nominee for the Senate District 15?
Thank you for that question. I came to Birmingham about 30 years ago. I graduated medical school in Atlanta at Emory University, and I came to UAB for my training. I am a surgeon. I'm a urologic surgeon. I'm part of a large urology group here that's based in Homewood, but we have surgeons throughout the city. It's called Urology Centers of Alabama. And I've served as a surgeon, taking care of men and women in this state for the past 30 years. My practice now is really taking care of men only. It's men focused. So I've had a successful practice, been supported by my group, and I've been very fortunate to do that. But I look around me and I see that our state certainly faces challenges. There's no question that our country faces challenges. I am not the kind of individual who sits on the back bench or sits on the sidelines. I've had a great practice. I certainly am running this race not to become a career politician. I'm no politician. I'm an outsider. But I really believe that our state needs help. I believe that we need men and women who have careers outside politics, who simply want to go to Montgomery to be a voice for the people, to help the men and women of this district, District 15, as well as the state. And I think at this point in my career, I can certainly do so.
Thank you, Dr. Christine. And now, same question to you, Mr. Roberts. Why do you want to be the Republican nominee for Senate District 15?
It has been my privilege to represent Shelby County the last 4 years as chairman of the Shelby County Delegation in the Senate. And in so doing, we've been able to accomplish many things, but we've hit the tip of the iceberg, and there are several other things that I hope to get accomplished this next quadrennium. The first would be education. We pulled together a group of legislators from both sides of the aisle, both Republican and Democrat, this last year, and we have made great strides. We passed 3 bills dealing with that this year, and my hope is that we would continue to make progress together on education, tax reform, and then continue to work on election integrity, which is an integral part so that every legal vote cast is counted.
Thank you. And now for our second question, Mr. Roberts, we'll begin with you. What, in your opinion, are the priorities and responsibilities of the Alabama State Senator?
The priorities and responsibilities that I see as a state senator, number one is to reflect and represent the constituents of a Senate district. And that's something I've had the privilege to do the last 4 years. Before that, I was in business here in Alabama, overseas, working for Alabama companies. And I think I've learned a great deal about the values and the principles of our constituents. And I share those same values. That would be faith, believe in our country, and support the things that are moving in the right direction. So I think a priority as a state senator would be to reflect the values of your constituents, number one, and then to continue to do the next right thing step by step. And then responsibilities are to show up, to be accessible, and then to do your job This is, as you know, a part-time job, but for me, it's turned into 60 to 80 hours a week the last 4 years representing you.
Thank you. Dr. Christine, same question to you. What, in your opinion, are the priorities and responsibilities of an Alabama state senator?
Well, thank you for that question as well. I consider state government, state representation, local government. And so what that means is it is the responsibility of the state legislator, in this case the state senator, to truly form a relationship with his or her constituency. As I go around meeting men and women in the district, as I go around knocking on doors, talking to civic groups, giving talks, meeting breakfast and lunch groups, what I find is that there is a real disconnect in District 15 between the citizens and their state senator. So many people I say, do you know who your state senator is? And they say, I have no idea. It's the responsibility of the state senator, the state representative, to form a relationship with the men and women in his district. As a surgeon, I have to have a relationship with my patients. They have to trust me so well and know me so well that they're willing to at times literally put their life in my hands. That's the same kind of relationship building that I want to bring to the men and women in this district. I never want someone to say, I don't know who my state senator is. I want them to know it's Brian Christine, who is with them, who is beside them, who's actually their voice leading the way in Montgomery.
Thank you. And now for our third question, Dr. Christine, we'll begin with you. If you are elected, what specific skills or strengths do you possess which you believe will benefit Senate District 15?
Thank you for that question as well. I'm a surgeon. I look at the world through a surgeon's eyes. And when a surgeon sees a problem, identifies a problem, they want to fix it. This is the same kind of focus that I want to bring as your senator from District 15. In other words, when I see a problem that our district or our state is facing, my natural tendency is to say, I'm going to ride toward that problem, I'm going to engage that problem, and going to do my best to fix that problem. I don't stand on the sidelines, as I said before. Again, as a surgeon, as someone who is motivated to identify problems and to fix problems, what I want to bring is that part of my personality that says, number one, if we have a problem, we're going to fix it. Number two, we're going to bring in the best resources to fix that problem. And number three, we are actually going to utilize that relationship that I have with the men and women in District 15 to find out what's important to them. Because again, what I hear is a disconnect with the men and women in this district with their state senator. What they need to have is a senator who is responsive, who will come and say, what do you think is important? What are the issues to you? Or, listen, we have this problem, for instance, education. What do you think we should do to fix this? I certainly have my ideas, but I want to hear what you have to say out in the district. So I would say using my natural tendency to lead from the front, using my natural inclination, kind of the way I'm wired, to get out there to identify problems and to fix them while speaking to you and asking what's important to you. That's what I intend to bring to Senate District 15.
Thank you. And Mr. Roberts, same question. If you are elected, what specific skills or strengths do you possess which you believe will benefit Senate District 15?
Fortunately, I've had the privilege to have a lot of years' experience in solving problems. For example, the Alabama tax reform that we got done, that the governor signed as the first act in 2021, was to pull together how can we be competitive. We wouldn't let one of our sports teams be non-competitive at the collegiate level or high school level in our state. And we were non-competitive or weren't where we should be. This act, number one, dealt with all the stimulus monies that came in from the federal government, that we would not tax those monies. Those were dollars that came into hardworking families. Number two, it put our businesses, small business, in the most competitive light of any state in the Southeast. And there's still more to do with that. We made great progress, but we will seek to try to do that moving forward in our state. And then education. We pulled together a bipartisan group in both the House and the Senate, and we were able to accomplish several things this last year. But we have more to go. As we all know, Alabama needs to be competitive in education. And we are not. We've gone from the middle of the pack to the bottom of the barrel. We are now 52nd and 49th, respectively, in English and math. And that's unacceptable for us to train up our children to go compete in the state and in the nation. So that's why I'm running again, to pull together both sides of the aisle to accomplish things for education, continue on tax reform, and then the integrity of what we do representing you in Montgomery.
Thank you. Now for question 4, Mr. Roberts, we'll begin with you. What are 3 specific things you hope to accomplish if you're elected as the state senator for the 15th Senate District?
This last quadrennium, we were able to make significant changes in keeping money in the hands of hardworking Alabama families. One of my main objectives would continue to be to make progress along those lines. And in so doing, we will deal with one specific part of the tax code that I think is keeping us from being as competitive as we can be. And plus, you can spend your dollars better than we can. And my goal is to keep every dollar that we can in the hands of our citizens and not sending it to the state. I believe in limited government, and I will work on every aspect, every bill that comes up to work towards that objective. And then education. As I said before, we have fallen to the bottom of the barrel, and that's not acceptable. So every fiber of my being will be spent working on how we can improve our education system here in Alabama. We have many, many great schools here, great school systems, but we have others that are in really rough shape. How can we help them improve? And this bipartisan group that we're working with has that vision, and I believe we will accomplish great things in the next 4 years.
Thank you. And Dr. Christine, same question. What are 3 specific things you hope to accomplish if you're elected as a state senator for the 15th State Senate District?
Well, thank you for that question. There is no question in anybody's mind that education is a challenge in the state of Alabama. We have some of the best schools and education that you could find anywhere within my district, and we have situations and schools that are more challenged. One of the things that's I'm very passionate about in terms of serving you as your state senator from District 15 is going to be improving education in the state of Alabama. Now, I'm not an expert in education. I'm a surgeon. And I'm smart enough to realize that I'm not an expert, but I'm also smart enough to realize that one of the main things I think that is lacking in improving education in our state is leadership in the state legislature. I believe that I have the personality, the strength, and the desire to bring experts, educators, and parents together to improve education. So working on education is one. Number 2 will be to reduce the tax burden on the citizens of Alabama. There is no question that I believe that money that is earned by an individual should stay in that person's pocket. People know best what to do with their money. It shouldn't be taxed away. So for instance, I'm absolutely committed to repealing the grocery tax in the state. The grocery tax places an undue burden on so many of our citizens that are doing the best they can. So I'm for lower taxes, more money in the pocket of individuals, and an example of that would be to eliminate the grocery tax. The other thing that I want to do as a surgeon, as a healthcare provider, we are something called a certificate of need state. What that means is if one wants to open a hospital or open a surgical center, you have to go before what's called the Certificate of Need Board to get their approval. It is a boondoggle in many ways. Money and influence changes hands. I believe that having a Certificate of Need Board requirement limits competition in healthcare. It limits transparency in healthcare at a time when we need to lower healthcare costs and a time when we need to promote competition in healthcare. If a small surgery center can do it better and faster and cheaper for the patient, that's all the better. So eliminating the CON board is another thing that I want to do when I'm elected.
Thank you. With question 5, Dr. Christine, we'll start with you. If you're elected, how and when will you be accessible to your constituents?
That is a very good question. Thank you for asking it. I've been practicing as a surgeon in Alabama for 30 years this summer. I am at the point in my career when I'm ready to serve in a different way. I've served the men and women in the state as a surgeon in the operating room. I'm now ready to serve as their elected representative, their elected senator in Montgomery, which means I am committed to doing that with vigor and with strength and being available to the constituents. So I'm going to be slowing my practice down. I'm going to be backing that practice down, seeing less patients, less involved medically, and more involved in taking care and helping the men and women of Senate District 15. What that means is I am going to take my energy into holding regular town hall meetings to meet with my constituents and find out what's important to them. One of the things we've been doing on the campaign is having meet and greets, giving people a chance to get to know me as the candidate. When I'm elected senator from District 15, I'm going to continue that. I'm going to be meeting with the men and women of our district. I'm going to be going to speak to groups. Listen, I give my cell phone number out to my patients. I'm going to continue to do that when I'm your state senator because I want you to have access to me. The only way that I know what's important to you is by building that relationship that I believe is so critically important. So I'll be backing down the surgical practice and I'll be available to you. I'll be working hard in Montgomery for you. I'll be a voice for you and I'll be available to you. I look forward to getting to know you better.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, same question. If you're elected, how and when will you be accessible to your constituents?
That's a great question. I show up regularly. I show up at chambers of commerce. I show up at community events. I have a presence on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I have email and I have phone calls. It was interesting. This morning, someone asked me, how much time have you spent on the phone since November of 2020? And I looked it up and it was 83 days that I've spent in talk time. So my goal is to be accessible because I'm representing you. So I show up, you can fake caring, but you can't fake showing up. So that's a motto of our family, the Roberts family, is you can fake caring, but you can't fake showing up. So my goal is to show up, to be accessible, and to work for the citizens of Senate District 15.
Thank you. Now for question 6, Mr. Roberts, we'll start with you. How will you, as the state senator from District 15, work with other members of the Shelby County Legislative Delegation to address the needs and wants of your constituents?
What's interesting about that is my colleagues elected me as chairman of the Senate Delegation for Shelby County. That's one of my goals, is that we would work collaboratively together for the benefit of Shelby County, and we've been successful doing that the last 4 years. So it's my privilege to serve as chairman of the Shelby County Delegation, and we will continue the next 4 years to work together well, to accomplish goals, to help where things need helping, but then to stay out of the way. The Shelby County Commission, the Shelby County elected officials are doing a remarkable job. And as you know, it's one of the fastest growing counties in our state. And we don't want to do anything that hinders that, but we are servant leaders as elected senators, and our goal would be continue to do that well in the next 4 years.
Thank you. And Dr. Christine, same question to you. How will you, as the state senator from District 15, work with other members of the Shelby County Legislative Delegation to address the needs and wants of your constituents?
Well, thank you for that question. Being a part of a team, being a team player is incredibly important. And I know that from being a surgeon. It's not only about me in the operating room. We have the scrub nurse, we have the circulating nurse, we have the anesthesiologist and the anesthetist. We are all part of a team to do one thing, which is to take care of that patient who's on the table, to take care of him and her, to give them a better life. It's going to be the same way when I approach my job, my position as the state senator from District 15. I look forward to working with other members of the Shelby County Delegation and other members of other individuals throughout the district, because of course District 15 is more than just Shelby County, but I look forward to working with the members of the Shelby County Delegation. I look forward to working with the municipalities, with city councils, with chambers of commerce all around to come together to have a vision that is going to carry our district forward in the state of Alabama. Again, improving education, lowering taxes, building infrastructure, protecting the values that we have as men and women of Alabama that make our state great, that certainly support families and carry us forward. So I look forward to regular meetings with the members of the delegation, and again, other members and other officials in the district, and meeting with the men and women of our district to find out what's important and to find a way forward to improve our state, to improve the district. Really, I'm a new grandfather, doing this for my granddaughter, for my daughter, my family, and for your family as well, for generations to come.
Thank you. Now for question 7, Dr. Christine, we'll start with you. How would you describe the 15th Senate District when asked by someone wanting to start a business in the district?
Well, thank you for that question as well. I would say the Senate District 15 regarding business, there is tremendous potential within our district. And the district really is geographically spread out. And there are certainly different cities. We have Mountain Brook, we have parts of Homewood, we have parts of Vestavia. Obviously, we have places like Leeds, we go down the 280 corridor. So it's really diverse in that different kinds of people, different businesses. But I think it's very business friendly and can be made even more so. How is that? This is where your elected state senator can be very helpful. Again, working on lowering taxes and working to reduce restrictions on businesses to encourage business development and business growth. Certainly before I mentioned about how passionate I am about improving education. Well, education doesn't only mean getting young men and women ready for college, because we know there are many young men and women who don't want to go to college, but they desire to learn a trade. They desire to be employed in good paying jobs within our district. And of course, we talk about building infrastructure. We need someone to fit the pipe. We need expert welders. We need master masons to do these kinds of jobs. And I think we have those individuals in District 15, these young men and women, who, if they're supported with our improvement in education, realizing that it's not only about college prep, but it's life prep, it's business prep, it's getting these individuals ready to serve us in the district. I think if we can do that and work toward that, we're going to make our district even more business friendly than it already is. Lowering taxes, lowering restriction on businesses, getting the young men and women ready to serve our district in these jobs. I intend to lead from the front on this. Again, I don't intend to stand on the sidelines. I want to work with you, and I want to do what's right for our district to improve business and make better what's already great.
Thank you. And Mr. Roberts, same question. How would you describe the 15th Senate District when asked by someone wanting to start a business in the district?
That is a great question, because starting a business is what we continually encourage, and I meet with guys regularly. I started my first business when I was 14 years old, had business cards printed up. It was another friend of mine, and we called it D&M Services, hardworking, industrious young men. And so we would do most anything legal that people wanted done. We would work on houses, roofs, cleaning gutters, and serve all around our community. What I see about Senate District 15 is it's a diverse group in that it composes a good bit of Shelby County, a good bit of the southern part of Jefferson County. And so how do we work together in that? We have some of the best schools in our state in Senate District 15. We have schools that want to grow. We have schools that are growing because Shelby County is such a fast-growing county. And the Tax Act that we passed in 2021 makes the state, and thus Senate District 15, one of the most competitive areas to start, to grow, and to move a business forward. I've been in business the last 45 years, and I know what it is to make a payroll. I know what it is to serve, to get involved. How do you do a startup? All the way to how do you land a successful business. And so my goal is to continue to make the tax aspect of what we do, make us competitive as a state and thus the district, number one, and then number two is to help small business thrive and thus the individuals. As you know, there are more than 85 or 90% of every business started is by small business. And I was endorsed by the NFIB, National Independent Business, and work with them daily, and I have a 100% voting record with them.
Thank you. And for our final and 8th question in the Q&A portion of today's virtual forum, Mr. Roberts, will start with you. Why should the voters in this Republican primary election vote for you to be the party's nominee?
I've been in business 45 years. I've raised 3 sons. My wife and I have. We have 8 grandchildren. One of my goals of doing what we're doing is to make what we have going on in Alabama better, to make us competitive, much like what you see at the collegiate level. They focus on competitiveness. How do we compete? In so doing, we have education items that have to be addressed. We have election integrity items that have to be addressed. We have tax reform that continues to need to be dealt with. So my goal in being elected here would be to continue that fight and then to represent you. I was in business 45 years. I started doing this 4 years ago. I'd done it in college and had some experience there, but then I decided to let our boys graduate from high school, and then they graduate from college, and then we got involved. And so in so doing, my goal would be to represent you well. My main strength is I'm a problem solver, and that's what I've been able to bring to Montgomery, is to represent you and to help solve problems with limited government and move our state forward.
Thank you. And Dr. Christine, same final question to you. Why should the voters in this Republican primary election vote for you to be the party's nominee?
Well, thank you for that question. And that's a great question. Why should the voters vote for me? Well, I will tell you why. If you want someone who is going to lead from the front, if you want someone who is not going to Montgomery worrying about the next election, someone who's not going to Montgomery worrying about gaining money and donations from special interest group and PACs, if you want someone who's going to go to Montgomery to really be your voice, then you want to vote for me. I've had a great career as a surgeon. I'm not going there to be a political person who serves for term after term after term. I am a strict believer in term limits. I think what the people in this district truly want is men and women who've had other life experiences, who have other careers, who now want to serve them by serving in our state legislature. I think if you want someone who's going to make a true effort to know you, someone who's going to make a real effort to make a connection with you, I want you to know me, I want to know you, then you want to vote for me. If you want someone who absolutely leads from the front, then you want me. Now, if you want someone that the most they can say about you is, yeah, he's a nice guy, you don't want me. If you want someone to be your senator who after 3.5 years, people say, I don't know who my state senator is, then you don't want me. If you want someone who's going to go to Montgomery and think about getting elected again before they ever start to serve, you do not want me. But if you want someone who's going to be your voice, be a strong voice, who's going down to serve, because my life has been about service in the operating room, but now I want to serve you in Montgomery. If that's the kind of person you want, if that's the kind of senator you want, a senator you know, you can trust, who will listen to you and will be available and will be strong for you, then vote for me.
Thank you. This concludes the Q&A portion of our virtual forum. Now we'll move into the closing statements, and as determined prior to the beginning of the forum, Mr. Roberts will go first with his closing statement. Mr. Roberts?
My name is Dan Roberts, and for the last 4 years, I've had the privilege to represent you in Montgomery. I'm a problem solver. My entire career has been focused on business, and I think that brings a great value to Senate District 15. I've had the opportunity to start companies. I've had the opportunity to sell companies. I've had the opportunity to encourage others in the businesses that they do. I'm a man of faith. I'm an elder at our church. My wife and I raised 3 sons, and now we're helping with 8 grandchildren. I lost my wife in March of this year to COVID, and that's been hard. But I know this, that the Lord has that. But my goal would be to win again, to serve you for 4 more years in Montgomery, to be a problem solver, to work across party lines with those that disagree, to come to solutions. We all know that education is a mess, and that needs to be dealt with. And I believe that this bipartisan group that we're working with now will see significant improvement in education, because the time for that is now. And I've had the privilege to represent you, and I want to ask for your vote to do it again for the next 4 years. I'm willing to serve. I've had the experience for the last 4 years. I have a problem solver background, and my goal would be to go to Montgomery again to represent you, to deal with not only tax reform, election integrity, education issues, but I have the privilege to represent farmers in Shelby County, business, manufacturers, real estate people. And working with them has taught me many things, but we all have common values. We want to be able to raise our families, to raise our children, for them to get a great education and to succeed in life. We have many areas where children come through our education system and then have to go out of state to find employment. I believe that if we will stay competitive and to continue to be more competitive in our business environment, that will provide jobs. We're seeing tremendous growth. What we've accomplished in the last 4 years has hit the tips of icebergs. There are many other things that I hope we can accomplish. And I will work hard, I will represent you, and I am accessible. So my goal would be to continue to show up because I care. It's not that you can fake caring and not show up. I show up. And that's been a privilege to do the last 4 years. And I would ask for your vote on May 24th to represent you again in Shelby County via Senate District 15. I'm Dan Roberts, and I just say thank you for the last 4 years. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. And now, Dr. Christine, if you'll please share your closing statement.
My father was in the military. That was his career. He served in the Army. He was a highly decorated and severely injured combat veteran. On his second tour in Vietnam, he lost an arm and a leg. He believed that service was paramount, and he raised his children the same way. I'm a surgeon. My younger brother was a Donald Trump appointed U.S. attorney in the state of Georgia. He's now a district attorney. My older brother is a judge in Florida. My sister was a special education teacher. Her career revolved around helping students with learning disabilities. We've always served. I think about my dad, and I remember a story. I remember a time when he and I were at home. I had graduated medical school. I'd completed my residency at UAB, and I was practicing as a urologic surgeon, but I was home in Georgia visiting my mom and dad. And I said to my dad, Dad, I look at what I've achieved in life, the service I've given, and it pales in comparison to you. And he said, son, you're simply serving just like I serve, but you're serving in a different way. I served in the military. You serve as a surgeon. You serve in the operating room. He said, but I will tell you that at some point in your life, you're going to find your fight. He said, you're probably not going to fight like me, under arms, in the military. He said, but you will find your fight. You'll find your fight for your state, and you'll find your fight for your family, and you'll find your fight for your country. I have found that fight. We live in a great state. Alabama is a wonderful place, and the United States is clearly the best country on earth. But we face challenges now as we never have before. There's no question that there is a crisis in confidence with voters in the state of Alabama, and very much so in the state of District 15, a crisis in confidence with our state legislature. As a surgeon, when I see a cancer, I want to cut it out. And the cancer that I see now in this district is that people feel they don't have a relationship with their state senator. They feel they don't have, their voices are not heard. I want to change that. My father always said, sons, he said, you ride toward the sound of the guns. You engage in the fight. You don't sit on the sidelines. That's exactly what I want to bring to my role in serving you as a senator from Senate District 15. I want to ride to the sound of the guns. What those challenges are for our state and for our district, I want to lead from the front. And I promise you today, I tell you today, I will lead from the front. I'm going to be there with you. I'm going to be beside you. I'm going to be the state senator that you want, the state senator that you deserve, but that you don't have. I intend to bring my Father's Spirit to you as I serve you as a senator from District 15, with passion, with strength, but being willing to listen to you and to have a relationship with you. If you vote for me on May 24th, I think you'll be happy that you did. I would be honored to serve you as your state senator. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That concludes the forum for today. I'll turn it back over to Mike Swinson. Mike?
This concludes our forum for the candidates seeking the Republican nomination of Senate District 15. Thanks again to both of our candidates for putting themselves before the voters of Senate District 15. Thanks also to our collaborative partners with the Shelby County newspaper. And finally, and most importantly, thanks to you for viewing this video. We hope you found it informative, and we encourage voters in Senate District 15 to exercise their right to vote during the primary election on Tuesday, May the 24th.